Welcome to the Gentleman's Talk, where the podcast talks about a man's battle with mental health, his personal experiences, and his journey to be a better soul. Hosted by James Dean Littlejohn.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Gentleman's Talk. Here we are on Sunday Reflection Day, as I call it. It's been I always say this a lot, and sometimes I think to myself, am I just being relentless in what I'm saying and the way I categorise things? And I say it's been a roller coaster of a week. You know what I mean? It's almost like I live in Alton Towers. Although that would be a dream, to live in Alton Towers. But anyway, yeah, I've got so much to talk about. I know I've been absent. This is a roller coaster in life in general, really, and I'm learning to, manage it as much as I can. But sometimes it does consume me. But I've got the brother mix on in the background there, which is, been delightfully created by my brother, and it's a good mix of kind of all sorts of genres of music, and it really does get my mind thinking. As certain songs spark off certain things in my mind. But anyway, before I start digressing early, let's try and get ourselves back on track, shall we? So yeah, it's been a bit of an odd week, really, because I sort of kind of felt a bit difficult, at the start of the week, and I was talking about, how I manage things and how I, being open and talking was helping, and then sort of kind of it dipped again, the next day after that podcast, and I was a bit like. And even my one of my mates, actually, he messaged me saying, "Jesus, mate, you sounded like shit," which is nice. It's that tough love, isn't it? And I sort of kind of went, "Yeah, I was. This isn't a walk in the park," and I know I try to be as positive as possible, but sometimes you just, with a journey like this, it's really important to, acknowledge the ups as well as the downs, and. For me, it went down quite dramatically, and the kind of pinnacle for the week really was, got to Thursday, and I had some plans for Friday night, and I was supposed to I had plans all weekend really, but anyway, Thursday night came along, and it was a bit of a weird one for me because I just all of a sudden started getting a bit sort of anxious. Which is a bit of an unusual feeling for me because it's not something I've had before. I have had it before, that's a lie. I haven't had it for a while. But it was a new thing. I was going into the weekend, and, I was kind of excited. I'd booked this Friday event where I was going to go into town, have a meal, and have a couple of drinks, which will probably turn into a few more drinks. But it was just a night out, social night. Nothing unusual, nothing different. Well, there was, I wasn't just going out with my friend, who I normally go out with. It's just normally me and my best mate, to be fair. It's always just sort of kind of us that go along. Excuse me, I'm sorry, but I've just had a little sip of Pepsi Max, and it's not settled quite as I'm talking as after I've supped on it. But anyway, massively digress again already. I'm just like a little sort of kind of deviant here, diverting all over the place, a deviant divert. Anyway. Yeah, so I was meant to go out with him. But I'd also invited along a couple of other friends, and one in particular was a good friend of mine, and I've spoken about him before. I don't mention names, and I must reiterate this. Normally if someone's listening and I'm talking about them, because the people I normally talk about are the ones that I've kind of nurtured into my life and I'm really engaged with on, all the time. So normally when I give a description, they'll know who they are. Just for kind of personal references, just for anybody that is listening outside of my little circle, which I hope there is, because I really hope this is helping people. The reason I don't mention names is just because, obviously I don't want to sort of bring any attention to anybody in a negative way. So I just keep it nice and generic. So, when I say sort of friends, it's normally like a little close network of people that, I'll sort of enjoy sort of their company and they enjoy my company, that sort of thing. But anyway, I was going along with this person I'd worked with basically all of last year, and he was coming out with us, and for some reason Thursday night, I just felt a bit anxious after work, and I'd taken the Friday off, and I was like, just what a nice, easy day. I wanted to get my hair cut, I wanted to get the beard shaped, I wanted to sort of go out and feel good about myself, I haven't done it for such a long time that it was nice to sort of kind of go for that feeling of sort of going out and just dressing up and wanting to feel good, It always used to be my motivational driver was to go out, was to I exercised and I dressed nice because I was going out, and I like to feel good. Well, you don't do that as often. You don't really, of course you have a reason to do it, but, obviously you've got your partner and friends, but not to a go out level. Everyone's like, everyone will know what I'm talking about when I say not to an out level, but to an out level, you know what I mean? So when you go an out, you need to dress a little bit, sort of kind of a bit more swag to you, makes you feel a little bit nicer when you go out. When you go out, you just wear, normal stuff. So anyway, I sort of Thursday night, I'd had, I was walking around and things were just bugging me. I felt really sort of tight and anxious, and I was a bit snappy, and basically it come to a loggerhead, and there was a bit of an argument between me and my wife, and nothing sort of kind of, nothing to worry about, but it was just something we hadn't done for such a long time, because we just kind of got to the point where there's no point in arguing anymore, is there? You get to the point where what is all arguing does is just promote negativity, and it doesn't make everyone feel, yes, we can have discussions and stuff but this was a full-on me being a bit of a dick, actually. So I didn't mean to be, and it was all over an incident that happened with my daughter. She was playing knuckles. Now, if anyone knows what knuckles is, I used to think it was the old school way of playing knuckles, where you would put your two fists together and then you twist it, you twitch, and if the other person moved, you got a free hit on the top of the knuckles. I just did it there. It's quite an aggressive game, if I'm brutally honest. I certainly never played it with girls. It was always the boys that played it. And anyway, my daughter, might as well tell you the full story, because it give you the full context then, won't it? Why I was feeling the way I was feeling. So just to show it was justified, but at the same time my reaction probably wasn't justified, which is what I'm trying to learn. So yeah, I basically, she was playing knuckles, but she had a massive scab on top of her knuckle, two scabs, quite considerable scabs, and I was like, what happened there? And then it just sort of kind of, everyone had bypassed me and not really got me involved, and I was like, well, I don't really like the look of that. What have you been doing? And she said, I was playing knuckles, and I was like, knuckles, and I thought it was the old school way. And I was like, who are you playing that with? So I was playing with TJ, this kid, this guy, and I was like, so you're playing a sport with a boy, and he drew blood on you. So of course I was naturally a little bit upset. It's my daughter. It transpires they play knuckles a bit differently. They actually play it, frankly, worse in my way than my way, the old school way. They put knuckles on the end of the table, and the other person has to flick a coin at the knuckles. Well, of course it's. I mean, I look at it because, I'm a bit older, maybe, I don't know, but I look at that as in, this is a metal object that you're going to flick, and you're not going to flick it nicely, let's be honest. You're thinking you're playing a sport here, a blood sport at that. You're going to flick it and, proper try and draw blood. Well, this is what this kid had done. He'd drawn blood, essentially, and damaged the top of my daughter's knuckles. So I was naturally a little bit upset. Number one, that my upset came from, it was a boy that had done this, so he'd not learnt restraint. He'd not learnt that he was playing with a girl, and you don't. I mean, I was always, and I don't mean it in this. I know that it's a fucking difficult world at the moment. Christ alive, I'll probably get absolutely brutalised for saying this, for saying just what I've just said, if I'm honest. But it is. I've got a lot of respect. I don't play the level of sports, and I never have done, to the same level with a female, because we're boys, we're different, we're built different. It's natural, but despite I know it's really, I'm tiptoeing around this, oh my god, and there's people probably going, oh my god, he's digging holes, mate. Oh, fucking digging holes. I've got a JCB. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that topic, but you can understand. Anyway, he's he hurt my daughter. So I naturally went to see him and asked him if he wanted to play a game of knuckles with me, So, he kindly declined. And I was like, well, it's not really fair that you would play with game of knuckles with my daughter, but you wouldn't play it with me, you know. So, and that's where I got to. But I got a bit passionate about it, and I think that's where I knew it was a bad week for me. I wasn't really, things were very irritable for me, and you know, I mean, there's a proper rift going on in the background here with some tunage. He's got some proper rock and roll in it. It's a bit like noise actually at the moment because I'm trying to talk over it. But anyway, yeah. So he kind of turned around and he declined. So I came through the door, and because my wife had known about it, it upset me because I was like, well, have you accepted this? So of course, it wasn't just a case of a discussion. It was a one-way conversation for me because I was a dick. I'll openly admit I instantly apologised. I was like, I'm sorry. I think I've massively overreacted. But it was because of the mood I was in and because of the context of the problem. So I basically acknowledged that I wasn't in a very good place, and I couldn't understand why, because nothing had upset me in work. I wasn't, you know, that didn't need to upset me to that level. So I was a bit like, well, there must be something going on. And then I woke up Friday morning, and I was like, for the first time, I'd woke up and I was like, I don't want to go out. Literally, like heart palpitations. I was like, I don't want to go out. I don't trust these people. You know, these are people that are friends, but this is the way I was reacting. I was like, no, I don't want to go out. I've had enough. I'm not doing it. And I completely went the negative way to the point where I actually switched my phone off, and I didn't want to deal because I knew the backlash. So I had to text my friend and say to him, you know, I'm not coming out. Because I don't know. I didn't feel comfortable going out with him, and I didn't know why, because it's not on the emphasis of, like I say, he's not a big drinker or anything like that, but I don't know. It didn't feel right for some reason. So I cancelled and left it at that. And then obviously I then had the low from cancelling to go out. In fact, bear with me 2 seconds. This is gonna be a bit unorthodox, but this music's okay to listen to in works time. I'll keep talking to you, but it's not okay to have blasting out in the background. So I'm just gonna pop on this bad boy. Something a little bit more sort of kind of sympathetic to the noise. It's a beautiful. I mean, the soundtrack's amazing, but it's when you sort of talking, it gets a bit like I'm going up and down with the music, like I'm a roar and like I'm a rock star. Anyway, so I was naturally upset, and I didn't really understand why it happened, and I even questioned, like, is it because I've worked from home for the last 6 weeks, and people are thinking, Christ, is that it? And I was, well, I'm not used to it, you know. So for me, I'm probably getting those withdrawal symptoms or those suppressed reactions to working from home permanently that people have had years ago, because, you know, 2 years ago is when people started working from home. Well, I've never done it, so for me it's unusual. If I've ever done it in the last couple of years, which has been once or twice, it's normally because it's advantageous to me. But, you know, obviously now it's the way we like to work, and I do enjoy it, but I was a bit sceptical. So I messaged him, and my mate was really, really kind. He was like, don't worry about it, mate. I understand, you know, because he gets these sort of feelings from time to time. So he understood, but he went in much talk, and I was like, I was so low because I'd had to cancel and do something I've always loved doing. I've always loved going out and socialising, but I was just a bit like, I don't know. I think because whenever I've been out in the last sort of 10 years, I would say 9 times out of the 10 times. So say, for instance, there was 10 times, but there was obviously more. 9 out of those 10 times have been bad experiences. I've been shat on, basically. There's no easy way to put on it, you know. But because I don't get drunk, because I was on tablets and I had no emotions and all this sort of stuff, and the people I were around were around at the time, it became very negative and I never felt safe, never felt trusted, didn't ever feel that if something had ever happened I would get home all right. That's the level of trust that I'd lost with the people around me. So I suppose it's kind of building up trust when you let other people in. Like, obviously my best mate, you know, we've known each other 28 years, so 27, 28 years, whatever it is, you know. So we know everything about each other. I know what level he gets to. I know what happens when he gets drunk. And so I know everything about him. So it's kind of not, you know, I've got that lot of trust. And he knows how to talk me down and all this sort of stuff if anything gets a bit heightened, you know. So I've got that element of trust. And I suppose it was like that new person coming in, and I felt a bit like, I don't know, I just suppose I overanalyzed it quite a bit, which is a bit of a difficult thing to do, but I managed to do it. So, and ironically, he's actually a really nice guy. So it's kind of, you know, that's why we're friends, you know, because he's a really nice guy. But I don't know, I just didn't feel comfortable. So, and I think that drew me into quite a bit of a low, really, because I'd been sort of in that mood anyway, and it just kept everything just kept reinforcing, and that's where I say to you, every day's differently. You know, every day's a different day. Sorry, so you never really fully understand. And anyway, we got to Saturday, and I had, you know, quite a long Saturday, really. It was quite sort of I was tired, I was a bit exhausted, and it wasn't really till today when I woke up and went, oh, do you know what? And that's why I put a post out to say I'm going to talk, because, you know, for me, it gave me the ability to go, okay, I'm ready now, and I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't wait till I'm ready. But at the same time, you have to heal. And one of the most important things is finding and adjusting, with me, certainly. And this is why I've got to the point where I am now. Is because I've not done anything when I'm negative. Because all I find is when I do things when I'm in a negative mood, and I don't analyse things and deal with it properly, what I tend to find happen is, you know, I tend to go lower. If I don't deal with it and I just kind of try and persevere, I tend to go even lower, because then when it doesn't go my way, I'm then reinforced with a negative. I shouldn't have done it because I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I haven't given my 110%. I'm not here in my all. So I feel like I've let everyone down. I've let myself down. And that's where I get to. So it's a bit of a shit situation, but, you know, at the same time, you know, we live and learn. So so on the back of that, I sort of kind of let my mate know, my best mate at the time. I was like, I've had to cancel. I'm not really in the mood and all that sort of stuff. And anyway, he come to the conclusion. He came round. So he came round for the evening, and we just literally just sat in the bar and just chatted, because he could see that I wasn't in the right frame of mind. So we just had a chinwag, watched a movie, and you know, just put the worlds to rights, you know, internally, which was okay. It wasn't okay. It was really good. It's what I needed. But again, it was because he came to me and he made it relaxing for me, and there was no pressure, and it was just sit down, movie. Do you know what I mean? Just start talking about things, and I suppose it was what I needed, really. I think if I'd been in a positive week, I would never have needed to do that. I would have gone out, and it wouldn't have been an issue. But I even started overthinking money and going like, oh, well, what if I go on, you know, if I do that and I go out on the piss, it's like, you know, we're talking 100 quid, but I've spent 100 quid on that can benefit other people, you know, my family, etc., etc. So I was really pulling all these negatives out to try and stop me from doing it. And obviously he came round and we chewed the fat, and it turned out to be a nice relaxing evening in the end, which was, you know, different to what it was meant to be. It was meant to be a bit of a blowout, but I don't know. Maybe it's my age. I don't know. Maybe there's a mixture of things, really. So, but I think it was ultimately down to the fact that I was second questioning everything, and second questioning my ability, and I felt let down. I texted my mate and said, look, I'm really sorry. I feel like I've let you down. And he's like, no, you haven't let me down. And I did. I do feel like I do, because I don't like letting people down. It's one of my biggest pet hates, is being let down. So I don't want to ever let someone down, and sometimes it can't be helped, and sometimes I'm either forgetful or I'm a bit stupid. we're all a little bit like that as men, aren't we? But I beat myself up about it quite a bit, because I don't like letting people down, and for me it was an easy letdown, in the sense that it's really weird. As soon as I said I wasn't going out, my mood completely changed, and that's where I sort of I felt low, but I didn't have that. It felt like there was a pressure on me to go and perform, if you like, you know? And, you know, even now I'm trying to analyse it, and I don't understand why I was like it. But I understand the pressure relief afterwards. But the knock-on effect of the argument was, I didn't talk to my wife for the last 4 days, because obviously I'd said things that had hurt her. You know, basically sort of kind of alluding to the fact that she's a poor parent, and she's not, by no means of the stretch of imagination is she poor. She's an amazing parent, but that's where I went to. So you don't vibe with somebody, do you, when they're like that? And I get that. I've had that for a long time, and that's where I kind of, it's kind of my wake-up call when I get like that, if I'm honest, because kind of lets me, so not even a wake-up call, but it's like a shock, even now, when I've had this for years and years and years, and even though I'm trying to deal with coping mechanisms and going, okay, right, well, nurture the people around you, get the people that are positive, because, you know, one of my biggest ethos is if you harbour negative thoughts, then you promote negative thoughts. So I've really been geared in not harbouring negative thoughts, and that's involved in no negativity around me at all. I can't deal with negativity because I don't feel there's a place for it, because we choose to be negative. So because I've chosen not to be negative, I've kind of like wound myself round to, you know, being a better person, and hopefully that's that's come across in my podcasts. But at the same time, I get grounded very quickly when something like this happens, and I go, click my fingers, and I'm blasting out, and I've completely and utterly, because I'm quite consuming in the sense that I'm quite a big aura, if you like. So I was like, fucking rah, 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 you know, fucking shit this, I can't fucking believe you've let this go. Look at our daughter, you know what I mean? And say it in such a negative, bullshit way, and then it was like I walked away and I came outside and I was just cooling down, and I was like, fucking what a dick you are, James. But I was at the same time trying to analyse why I was doing it, and it's because of this stress and pressure of going out. And then I had the pressure of I didn't want to let someone down, and then I thought, well, I'm being stupid and need to go out. And even when I'd cancelled my friend, and I knew I'd let him down. He's like, no, you haven't let me down. I was like, I have, mate. And not just let you down. I've let myself down because I've chosen the easy option again. And this isn't what this is about. This isn't about choosing the easy option. The easy option got me to where I was. You know, this is the tough option. This is the option where I'm trying to better myself. Now, okay, it's not a big thing. It's going out and spending money in town. So it's not like it's a huge thing that I've let down, which I'm looking at the positives on that side of things. What it was I didn't want to be in a drunken environment around such unpredictability. I overanalyzed that a little bit, and I shouldn't have done, but I did, you know. So, but it was on the back of an argument with my wife, and then so, you know, I didn't feel happy. I wasn't promoting happiness inside me. I was negative in the sense that I'd let down my mates. I was negative in the sense that, you know, I was blaming myself, and I was like, you're a dickhead and all this. So do you see what I mean? There's a lot of negativity around there. So if anything, by my mate coming around and you know, we just chatted and it was relaxing. And I even acknowledged to him I felt shit, and I was like, I don't want to make fucking plans again, because I don't want to be that flake. I don't want to be that person that lets someone down. Even when he messaged me going, you know, it wasn't about the drink, James. It was just about the social aspect. And I'm just like, fucking hell, mate, you couldn't have said anything worse to me. You know what I mean? It's not even about the drinking. It's just about literally being in your company sort of thing. And I'm like, fucking hell, mate, make me feel shit. You know, he didn't mean to, I don't mean like that. But I felt shit inside because I knew that he would rely on that as much as me. And I could have been that person for him that, say, for instance, my mate, when he came round eventually, was for me. So it's kind of like, I get it. I see that point of view, and I felt shit. At the time, it was easy for me just to go, I'm not fucking coming out. And then I shut my phone off and fucking ended up, you know, not doing a great deal, to be honest. So I sat down with my wife and chewed the fat with her, and, you know, just kind of, mulling things over, and then obviously trying to deal with it. It's just sort of kind of festered in my brain a little bit. And then Saturday was kind of one of those really shitty days, just where I felt bad about everything, and I was like, Christ, what's the fucking point if you're going to do this? And so this is what I'm saying about trying it. And so I tried to snap out of it, and then I was conscious I was going to see my mum and dad today. So I went to see mum and dad, and I had a fucking fantastic time. You know, we went out and ended up having, you know, 4 or 5 beers with my dad, and, you know, chatting to my mum and stuff like that. So it was really, really nice. It was a nice afternoon, and it made me humble to come back and, sort of kind of go, okay, I need to do a podcast and just review this week, because it's really intense. A really intense week, you know. So but I've had, at the same time, just talking about that negativity, but just want to literally underpin that with loads of positivity I've had. So I had like a really positive conversation, you know, on the back of my last podcast. I told my brother to go and listen to it because there was a big segment on him. And he's, like I said, he's always been a massive, important part of my life, my brother has. We just don't vibe sometimes, and we're on our own little paths. It's kind of, we're dealing with our own little problems. But as with most human beings, my problem will always feel bigger than his, and his will always feel bigger than mine. But we don't say that to each other because we're not arseholes. But I understand that, you know, for me to get to a place where I can help, I don't want to harbour negativity. And he, at the time, was just kind of battling what I'd battled before. So I just let him know I was there for him and wait for him to get to the point. And here we are now, you know, we made a playlist and we're chatting about it. And yeah, it's really sort of helped us to grow, you know. So I've had like a lot of positivity from there. And then on the back of that as well, I had one of my good mates, you know, the guy, I'll call it, what should I call him? He's the little psycho killer. You know what I mean? He's absolute Looney Tune. And yeah, he's really he engaged and left me a really, really nice review about my podcast. And he messaged me over the weekend saying, you know, keep on your podcast, when's the next one coming? And that's really refreshing to me, knowing that I'm helping somebody. And even on the back over the weekend, I've been researching on a lot of podcast forums, how to promote myself, how to get myself up there. And you know, it's all on ratings and stuff like that. But for him to take the time to write that review was really refreshing, really, really nice, really humble. And I've had that from you know, all my listeners so far that I know of anyway, you know, that my little network of listeners, because I don't know how big the listener market is out there. But yeah, so he wrote a nice review, and he's been literally messaging me over the weekend. We've got this little, I sing his name and rhymes and just literally rip shit out of him, and vice versa coming back. And it's good banter, you know. And then on the back of that, I've got my other friend who's big on the fitness train, and he is absolutely killing it, really is. So I've got a lot of positivity around me, and I think that's what's kept me grounded, even when I do make that. And although that's, you know, that argument I've had with my wife, I've absolutely, you know, it's going to take me a week or so to probably undo it. It wasn't that horrible, but at the same time, it was a shock factor, I think, because I haven't been feeling like that for a long time, and I only get that when I'm stressed, and nothing stressed me apart from this thing going out. So it's kind of like something I have to now adapt, and that's something now I have to look at and go, okay, why did it do this? And I know part of it is because, number one, I don't feel very, without sounding, what's the word I'm looking for? Without sounding like I'm a bit of a fruitcake. I don't feel very good about myself at the moment, you know. So even when I had my hair cut and I had the beard trimmed, I just felt fat. I felt horrible. I don't feel like I've made enough of an effort to go out. So I think that there was really bad confidence issues there, which again is such an easy fix to address, that I just need to be more focused on it. And it's really stupid because I'm actually surrounded by you know, I've got a really good friend of mine who's absolutely smashing the fitness out. You know, he's eating healthy and he's rewarding himself. He's got a great reward. He gives himself £10 a day every time he doesn't eat outside of his diet and gets his calorie deficit in. And he smashes the bike. He sits in front of TV and just smashes the bike, to the point where I'm like, I wouldn't mind doing that actually, because it's nice and easy to have a bike in the bar area and just watch TV and do an hour on the bike. So it's a nice convenient way. And then when I want to go out to the gym, I'll go to the gym for a swim in the gym. So it's weird, but all of those, all that negativity just completely undid everything. It was like, I don't know how to describe it really. It was just overwhelming for me. And it started on Thursday night, and I was like, don't know what to do about this. But of course I'd already started that ball rolling. So yeah, I've had a lot of positivity. I've had people reviewing me, and I've had, you know, although there's only like 4 people that I speak to regarding this podcast, those 4 people are like, they don't understand how much they, you know, support me, as in keep me focused, keep me wanting to do it, because I don't hear from the world or however many people are listening to this. So for me personally, this is the result of them keeping me going, keeping me in sort of focused on it, because one of the biggest things I find with any project or anything you're involved in, it's getting over these hurdles and it's getting past them and actually conquering them, let alone the fact that I'm talking about my mental health and mental health as a whole. I've got to try and keep focused, and I've got to try and make sure that I get involved, and that does come back with positive feedbacks. And just reading his, the review and my mate's review that he left on, what did we call it? I can't even remember what it's called. Audible, that's the one. So all these little things, all these little podcast reviews and stuff like that, they all help me because I read them, and it's just constant positivity, and positive reinforcement is really, really important. So I've had a bit of a shit one, really, but at the same time, it gives me something to focus on, because you don't want it to go right all the time, because we need to develop. We need to get to the next stage. So I've now discovered I've got this problem, and it's better for me to discover I've got this problem now and how it makes me feel, so that I can go, right, I need to address this again, and I need to find a different way of approaching going out. To make sure that it's manageable and I don't sort of sit there and, panic or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So I need to work out. So that's given me something. That's given me something to go, okay, I see there's a problem there. The same as how I saw there was a problem with my friends. So I got rid of the people that I didn't think were supporting me or weren't as interested in me as I was of them, or I wasn't as interested in them as they were in me. So there wasn't a mutual agreement there. So all these things I've kind of, developed. And one of the next parts of development is dealing with this, because I don't want this to hinder my life. I don't want this to get to the point where I won't go out. And I do go out, but I don't want it to be the point where I can't go out with other people. I need to be able to stretch it a little bit and give myself a little bit of fluidity, and get that evolved and get that going, because it's really important. And I think that a lot of my friends don't realise how much they help me. Yes, sometimes, I think honesty is the best policy in this. And, sometimes, like, say, for instance, not everybody knew I wasn't going out, but everybody knew I was going out beforehand. So they were all like, oh, you're going out, rah, rah, rah. And, of course, I wasn't going out. So it was reinforcing that. But then, at the same time, I didn't want to say I wasn't going out, because that would have created a conversation I didn't want to have with myself, because I hadn't dealt with it. I hadn't digested it and reflect on it. I didn't do that till Saturday, when I was sat in the bar all day, just watching mind-numbing TV, just constantly going over and over, what had happened. And I didn't really process it until today. And then the way I actually processed it was I spoke to my dad about it. So, we went off and I told him, and he went, what? Right, rah, rah, rah. And he just said, I just think it was one of these things. It was just a conversation I needed to have. So it perked me up. It pulled me back in line. So again, and that's that talking, that's that honesty, and the people around you, and even encompassed in that, I've reflected on, have I had this before this year, and asking myself these questions. And I have had elements of this before, and again, I've always got away with it because I've always gone and spoke to my dad. So my dad has always been my confidant for the last year and a half. He's the person I'm feeling like this, and he's given me real wise experience back. And that's slowly growing to the more honest I am with the people around me, the more that they are getting to know my feelings, my moods, if I'm a bit quiet. And I think that's really important. Like I know, for instance, I know all of my friends like really, really well. So I know my brother, and my 4 or 5 friends that I've got. I know them really well, so I know when they're not right, because I'm really invested in the people around me. I'm really invested in them, so I know what they like. I know what floats their boat. I know that they're all different in their own unique ways, which I absolutely love, because I don't want to have a select group doing the same things. It's nice to bounce around people with different things. Like I say, I've got one that's down the beach and an absolutely incredible guy, will do anything for you. Really, really is a genuine guy. And I know that I can go and visit him, we go down the beach and, all that sort of stuff. And he comes with all of his own he comes with his own added stuff to the party, you know, the fact that he's just an absolutely hilarious guy. And then I've got my other mate, you know, who's absolutely massive into sort of guns, and he's, you know, we're trying to get into a couple of other little things we're trying to get going, a couple of little after work events and stuff. So I know about him, and I know what mood he's in, and I've had a couple of conversations with him where I can tell he's not quite there, and do you know what I mean? So I do understand that, and even in a short period of time, really sort of kind of know where he's coming from. And then I absolutely know my brother, you know, through and through. So I can tell when he's up and down. The problem is we're two alike, so we do clash when we're down, because I just want to rattle his cage and he wants to argue and get it out, you know what I mean? So I understand. And then, of course, you know, I've got the guy that I let down, unfortunately, and I know when he's in the right place and not, because we talk quite a bit, you know. And then I've got my best mate as well, but I've got little other people, you know. I've got little sort of, because my best mate, you know, I know absolutely when he's not there. I with all of them, even just, I've gotten to this point where I've stopped texting people and I started writing voice messages, because I think it's a little more personal way to deal with it. And so I send voice messages to people now. So I think that it's more personal. And also I get to know the vibe in the voice, because you never get that context from a text message. But with a voice, you get to know if that person's up or down. And I'm actually finding that's better for me to deal with helping my friends. And also I think it's just a little bit more personal. You can add a little bit more flair to a conversation, you know, because you're up and down, you're excitable, you can actually sound sad. So I think it gives so much more, and it's been there forever. We just stopped using it, you know, and reverted back to texting. But actually, voice texting is so much quicker. But yeah, I've obviously got like an additional little pockets of friends that are, you know, I talk to for a bit of banter. Or I got this one guy I recently re-engaged with. He lives up north. We went to Saudi together, and every time I put like a new photo up, he sends me like normally like a hot stud gif or something like that, you know, no context to it whatsoever, but just perks me up, you know. It's just really, really important, because I just look at it and I go, oh, you sly fox. Or he sent me one with a monocle, and someone was pulling the monocle up to their eye, because he was like, oh yeah, very good stuff. So everybody that's around me at the moment harbour positivity, absolutely, like in abundance. It's really good. But not only that, when they're down, I'm positively engaged to helping them, because I know for a fact that when I need it, they'll give back. And I think that's where a true friendship, and we talk about the big 7 as I call it. So they reckon if you've had a friend for 7 years, they're a friend for life. And generally I think that is pretty much true if you've had a friend for 7 years, because most of the people that are around me I've known for 7 years at least, and most of them I've been engaged with for 7 years. So anyone out there listening to this top tip, you know, you might have a little bit more way to go, you know what I mean? Joking, I'm bantering. But you get to the 7 year point, so you know, it's really, that's the investment I have, and like for me personally, it's just about making sure that you look after those people around you. So when I do need it, and I'm feeling a bit shit, I want to be positively confident that they are going to look after me, and they're going to perk me up in some sort of way, and vice versa for me to them, you know. I think it's really important to engage with the people around, you know, around you. You know, one of the biggest things that I've had, like, you know, proof was in the pudding. You know, one of my, like say my best mate, or one of my best mates, you know, he lost his mum not so long ago, and Mother's Day come and he was away, and I sent him a message saying, you know, your mum's an absolute diamond. Do you know what I mean? And that is the type of level of friendship that I enjoy. Somebody that knows about my life, somebody that knows about the ups, the downs, and somebody who wants to look after me and keep that longevity going. Because friends, let's be brutally honest, friends are really good friends are few and far between. I mean, there'll be plenty of people that will come in and out of your life, but a good friend, somebody you can happily rely on, because that's what you need. You need someone to rely on, because they're your ultimate support network. You can't go through life on your own. I know people like to think that they can, but you can't go through life on your own. Life You trust. Well, actually, you can. I will actually retract that statement. You can go through life on your own. I just don't think it'll be as fun if you're not doing it with the people around you that are asking you to try different things, getting involved in different things, and just having a bloody good laugh, and know that at the end of the day, if you're led in a ditch laughing your ass off because you're completely smashed, that the person beside you is one of those friends. That's a true representation to me of a friend. But yeah, so I sort of, like I say, it's everything I'm trying to do here is trying to engage with myself and my own thoughts and my own processes, and developing ways around it, and trying to make myself as positive as I can. And I think it's really, it does work. It has worked. It will work. It's going to carry on working. I just go up and down sometimes. And last week was one of those ones where it overwhelmed me, if I'm honest, and to cancel a night out that could have meant just as much to that other person is really not a place I ever want to be again. And I've really used this weekend to digest that and go, don't do that again, James. Either you're going to be committed or you're not going to be committed. If you're not committed, then do it in such a way. So, for instance, it might have been one of those things that I wouldn't have been comfortable going out on the piss with the person, getting lashed up with them. But I might have been comfortable with just going for a meal. So we could have just gone for an all-you-can-eat Chinese for an hour or so, a Coke, and gone, that's it. So gone on our way. And I think that I probably would have been able to develop that. So I just need to make sure that until you build up that trust, because trust is such a big thing, isn't it? And I think that that's when you bring in people into your life and, you're developing a friendship with them, you need that element of trust. You need to know that they are not going to slag you off. They're going to have your back no matter what. They're going to look after you. And, basically they're just going to, it's just going to fit a nice friendship. That's what you want. There's no extra ones on that. It's all you really need. That's really hard to build. I mean, any trust, any level of trust, we give an element of trust as soon as we start engaging with somebody, but any actual level of trust, I know for a fact, so for instance, my best mate, absolutely implicitly trust him with my life. Absolutely. Know for a fact that he would take a bullet for me. I know for a fact I would take a bullet for him. That's the level of trust that I have. So I want to develop that trust with the additional people that are in my life. It's the same as my brother. I mean, obviously my brother is, you'd be, well, saying that actually, no, because some people don't get on with their family, so I understand. But I would take a bullet for any of my family. So I have that level of trust. But then, that's nurtured with the same sort of background. And I quite like it, the fact that me and my brother clash from time to time, because, you have to have an element of fire in a friendship, to a degree. But I want to nurture that same trust aspect with the other people in my life, because that is so important for me to feel that trust, because it can be broken so easily, and it has been. I've been. It actually fucking crushes me when people really make me feel this way, and when they ruin that trust, because I am very committed to a friendship, and as I keep saying to you, and you've heard it before, I had a previous person I used to work with, and he absolutely destroyed the trust. And that, to me, do you know what? It wasn't about the fact that he did it. He'd broken that trust. What it was about was why he did it. And there was no repercussions in terms of he didn't feel that guilt to even go there. And the only person it really hurt, and I think the whole thing, was me. It actually fucking destroyed me, because I was like, I've looked after that person, I've nurtured them, I've tried to develop them, I've given them all of my, wisdom for 21 years in the trade, all this sort of stuff, and then to get treated like that. So that's probably why I'm a little bit, skeptical, because you can get fucking hurt so easily, but you just keep developing it, and the more that those people give to me, and the more I give to them, and it keeps bouncing backwards and forward, then the trust just grows naturally. You don't need to force it. It just naturally grows. And you know for a fact that you can rely on that person. And ultimately, what's that like? You need to establish, are they someone who's just in for a short time, or are they in for the long haul? Do you know what I mean? And the long haulers are quite the rare, aren't they? But yeah, that's what I've been doing, basically. I've been trying to sort of nurture that. And do you know what? Going back to that same comment, that I think that the whole purpose, or the better place I'm in today, was on the basis of the way they've all been. So all those people at some point in this last weekend have engaged with me, and we've spoken, and we've had conversations, and we've had banter, and we've sent, gifts and pics. So that's what's perked me up, And then, obviously, topping the icing on the cake was popping around and having a full afternoon. It wasn't really meant to be. I was only popping in for a cup of tea to see my parents, and that turned into 6 hours and 6 beers. So, it was nice. It was relaxing. And, I came back, had some dinner, and I went, do you know what? I really want to do a podcast. So I've got so many goals. I've got a massive topic actually to talk about tomorrow. This is a reflection one for me. So, it's really important to reflect on my week, and I want you to feel about how I'm dealing with things. But I've got a really important mental health topic to talk about. 2 actually this week. I'm back on the motivational thing tomorrow, because I felt another letdown, and I think that I pulled myself out of the routine last week to the point where I stopped doing everything. I even stopped, I didn't do any. I've not eaten healthy this weekend. I've not eaten any fruit this week. I've just literally gone, you feel like shit, so you look like shit, you piece of shit. That's basically that's the way I've treated myself this weekend. And if anything, it's made me feel like I'm sat here now, like, smacking my belly like it's a barrel. I don't feel slim. I've eaten way too much bread. And I'm just like, James, you know what to do, but it's really hard when you're in that mental state. It's really hard to stop that mental state just consuming you. And that's when you kind of shut yourself away. You cancel events. You switch your phone off. You ignore people. And I'm like, fuck. And that's what I've been doing. I've just been chilling everyone off and just trying to engage with people, really, really forcing myself to do it. To the point where I was that angry with myself that I repaired my motorbike panel this weekend, and it's had a hole in the side of the panel where somebody greased the side of my tyre because they wanted to try and sort of attempt murder on me at some point. That's a big story. Anyway, so I repaired my fairing, but I took it off late last week. I was that angry with myself that I was going negative, that I was like, fucking, I'm going to repair this. I'm going to do something creative just to show that I'm not a piece of shit. And that's where it got to, and it's sat there right beside me now, ready to get its top coat on. So I've done things to punish myself, not punish myself because it needed doing, but I've tried to prove to myself that I'm not a piece of shit. And that's where I go to. That's me arguing with my own mental state, sitting there and going, for fuck's sake, James, you think, no, what have you achieved? What have you done? And even to the point where I received my qualification on Saturday for one of the hardest courses I've ever fucking sat in my life. And the qualification came through the door, which was absolutely incredible for me because I didn't think I'd passed. In actual fact, I've passed all 3 exams. So all 3 exams are passed. I've just got to write 2 risk assessments, one on a hot tub, one on a power station. Which is easy enough. People are like, what? I'll go to a swimming pool and I've got to visit a power station as part of my job anyway. So I'll write a risk assessment. I've got 12 months to do it. But to pass those 3 exams on Saturday, you would have thought that would have perked me up. But I got 3 certificates. And they were the hardest course I've ever fucking attended in my life. Well, just a written exam, and the way, it wasn't a hard course, but it was just like, we've been over this. I swear I've got PTSD from it. It was that traumatic. But yeah, I got the 3 certificates through. I've passed. So I'm now confident. So yeah, even when I thought I'd failed at that point, I've proved that I did it. And, that's really important. I'm constantly trying to, I don't know why, but constantly prove myself. But it's a negative. Negative side to me, but do you know what? It is what it is. I've got to look at the positives, and like you said, when you really, really analyse everything, I've had some good positives this week. I just got thrown a little kind of spanner in the works with regards to this whole new feeling that I hadn't felt for a long time, and probably didn't notice it to the level because I've been in a good place this time. So I'm like, oh shit, that's a bit of a negative one. What's that about? So I've reset, and that's what I did. I reset. I really had a chat with myself, and I analysed everything. And I can't do this, I can't do that. So I've got to watch this space. I've got a few things to deal with, and hopefully I'll be able to talk to you along the way. Well, not hopefully, I will. I'll talk to you along the way and help myself develop it and show you that, okay, I've had a week blip. That's quite a long blip. I don't even think I'm fully out of the blip yet. I don't feel as happy at the moment as I have done before. I have happy moments. Happy moments today was because I was on a high from seeing my parents. So not literally a high, but on on a euphoric high for spending time with my loved ones. So I've come away from there on a high, and then I had a couple of voice notes that were left for me from my friends, so I've engaged with them, and then I've kind of gone, yeah, okay, that's all right, but I still feel flat, still feel meh. I don't know why. I just got to I got to not pull myself out of it, because that's the wrong word. I hate that fucking word, but that's me internally having a dialogue with myself. But I've got to try and perk myself up a little bit and just go, okay, you don't need to do this, James. And like I said, on the back of receiving those certificates, which I was super fucking proud of, I don't really think it's registered with me, because all I did was go, oh, okay, brilliant, and I put the photos straight in my one of my 4 binders, certificate binders, because I'm a bit addicted to it. But I put it in, and it was amazing. Yeah, I'm reflecting on it now, and it is an achievement to pass 3 exams that you knew nothing about in 3 days, written exams, not even Vote for Joe. So yeah, it's a proud moment. But again, because I feel meh, it's hard to perk myself up and get the high from it, because I've not been able to. So what I need to do is I need to get up in the morning, I need to get my cold shower routine, I need to get out, I need to get fit, I need to get into a proper routine, loads of water, fruit shakes. I know what I've got to do. I've got to get back into it. Last week I went flat as hell and didn't bother. So that's my goal for this week, is to deliver 2 amazing podcasts, because I can't wait to give them they're going to be nice, in-depth podcasts, actually, talking about some mental health stuff. I'm learning loads of stuff as well. I'm on these podcast forums and these mental health forums, and thank you for everybody that leaves a review, whether it's on Facebook or whatever social or whatever medium you use for listening. I really appreciate it. It's really, really important to get that feedback and grow, as a sort of kind of, a developer, I suppose, like me. I'm enjoying the process, and sometimes I have good weeks and sometimes I have bad weeks. So, but I appreciate everybody's time and listening with me. So I've got 2 podcasts, really in-depth ones, and I'm going to do I've got my motivational minute ready to deliver first thing in the morning. And that's my first thing to do on Monday morning, is come in before I start work, is get that motivational minute out and go, right, let's start. So, and yeah, acknowledge to my friends, thank them for listening, even though they didn't even realise, but thank them for helping me this weekend. And yeah, just keep nurturing positivity. I did have a little saying, actually. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a little sip of water on that one. Pardon me. There was a saying, I don't remember, something along the lines of, don't use the weekend to resent the climate the circumstances you've created, but use the weekend to create better circumstances for a better future. There's a better way of doing it. It is there. That's just literally off the top of my head, trying to decipher what the sentence is. So I did. But on the back of that, it was like a little positive message I've read on Friday, basically saying don't use your weekend to sit there and dwell on the crap times, but use the weekend to build a better future. I think it's along the lines of something like that. And do you know what? It resonated with me, because I sat there and went, do you know what? I'm in a shit place. I don't feel great about my body. I don't feel great about myself, because I'm really not. I feel my arms aren't, I could really overanalyze myself, and I feel weak. I feel flumpy, horrible, and I'm like, just get back into a routine, mate. You felt amazing a couple of weeks ago, and you've been battling this week. Keep battling, but at the same time, persevere. That's where I was last week. And then it crashed a little bit, but I think it wouldn't have crashed. I probably would have carried on going up if I hadn't had Friday. That's no one else's fault but myself, because Friday wasn't an issue and will not be an issue again, because I've got a different way of dealing with it. And and just continue to nurture the positive times with my friends that are around me, because they're really important to me. And I need to fully acknowledge that time is precious, and looking after yourself and looking after the people around you is so important. And I keep talking about friends all the time, because I can't emphasize how important it is to have the right chemistry, the right people around you that are helping you, because you can't do this on your own. I don't care what anyone says. If it's all right, you can. I mean, Christ, I've put a fence up on my own, and it's a massive fence in my back garden. Would it have been easier with two? Absolutely. Absolutely it would have been. But I did it on my own, and anything you do in life is easier with somebody else. It always is. Do you know what I mean? It's more fun with somebody else. So I'm just going to continue to do that. I really enjoy the things. I really enjoy the place I'm in at the moment, apart from the stuff I'm dealing with in my head. But at the end of the day, that is mental health. That is what we do. And even my wife, she was shocked on Friday. She goes, I just don't know where it came from, James. And I'm like, I literally no idea. And it was just stress, anxiety was just fucking firing in my brain. And I was like, oh God, I don't want to do this. What's this fucking? And then I questioned my life. So it's really important to manage this weekly, daily, hourly. It's really important to manage it. But I couldn't do this without the people around me, and I really couldn't. And that's a fucking God's honest truth. Everybody that is around me is a cog. And we're all interlinked, and we're all meshing. And that's what it's about. You're only ever as strong as your weakest link, and if your weak link around you is weak and literally negative and rusty and fucking horrible, it's going to snap, isn't it? So it's really important to nurture the right people around you. That for me is invaluable, and it's proven invaluable. It's proven weekly. I give them a lot and they give me a lot, and that's where we bounce off each other. And you will succeed in life when you're around the same sort of people. I'm a big go-getter in life. I want to progress as far as I can. I mean, fuck me. If you can get me in 10 Downing Street, I'm there. I'm chewing it up and changing the country. You know what I mean? So I'm that ambitious that I would want it, but I don't want to do it on my own. I want it to be with the people around me, because the people around me, they help you come along. They're there. So when you're at the end, and hopefully in some castle on your own little bit of land, and you're looking around and all your friends are in each wing of the castle. That's what the ultimate goal is, isn't it? And for a fact you're going to have a good time every day with them. So the journey is not worth it unless you can see those people at the end stood there with you, enjoying the fruits of your labour. So really important to look after the people around you. I can't emphasise it enough, because even though you don't think you're doing something positive, or you think, I just sent a message, mate, I don't know what your fucking problem is. That message might mean the world to that person. You engaging back with a bit of banter might mean the world to that person. It might be just enough to keep them, afloat until they're strong enough. And then when you're weak, they're going, fucking dude, sort yourself out, mate, So it's really important to nurture that around you. And when you've got negativity, you'll just be surrounded by negativity all the time. But I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for listening to me burble on my reflection of Sunday. I'm going to jump on in now and get a nice cup of tea. But thank you for listening. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow for the Motivational Minute, and tomorrow night it'll be an amazing podcast. And the following week, my family are going away. I'm not going with them because I'm looking after the dogs. So my family are going away for the week. So I have a whole week. So I plan on doing some good podcasts that week, actually. And maybe even I'm going to try and set up something live. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I've seen a lot of people doing little live shows with people. So I've spoke about it previously, and I'd like to do a little live show. So I might do a Tuesday night little live show with a couple of my friends, just talking about the podcast and maybe a little bit about me and a little bit about them. So there's something I'm going to set up for that week. I think it'll be really, really cool to have that on my little list of things to do. But thank you for listening. I hope you have a beautiful rest of the Sunday, if you're listening on a Sunday, or the rest of the day, whatever time of the day you're listening to it. Thanks for listening, and thanks for coming along for the journey. I can't thank you enough for listening. I can't thank you enough for motivating me to keep up with this, because it's so easy to let it fall and go, okay, I'm done. Or it's so easy when you don't get feedback to just give up. But we need to persevere, because I know how much it does help me, and I know, or I really do hope it helps you out there. So thank you. Just thank you for everything. And like I say, any feedback is always welcome, or any questions, man. Don't be afraid to send me a message and let me know if there's something you want to talk about, because it helps me to understand and helps me to put my life experiences to hopefully help you. So yeah, enjoy yourself, and I will speak to you all very soon. Take care, everyone.